Mike Rosehart here for the Wise Wealth Wednesday show. I am live right now from St. John's, Newfoundland, here in Canada. So yes, I am not in the home province. As you can see, I am in a hotel room right now. And my apologies for being a little bit tardy, a little bit late. I just finished writing the real estate exam here in Newfoundland, St. John's, and came all the way back. And so we were in the car and we got held up, and I actually met someone pretty cool. I was doing a real estate exam also, who's big into commercial real estate. Shout out to Nick if you're watching, or if you catch the replay. It was cool, and I appreciate the ride home. We had some great conversation, and I would like to see you on the channel to talk about commercial real estate in a future segment. But anyway, so here I am. Hopefully you guys can hear me loud and clear. I don't have a lapel mic on me. I forgot it back at home. So it is just on the phone. Hopefully the sound quality is acceptable, is at least half decent. Can anyone tell me if they can hear me? Is my iPhone acceptable? Can anyone? Words? Anyone who's watching? That didn't work. Okay, I have no stand. I am attempting to use a cup on a desk, stacked on top of another desk. We are doing DIY. This is how you do it without equipment for the Wise Wealth show. Sorry about that, guys. Phone dropped midway. This is what we do when we wing it. But I didn't want to miss one segment. Every single week I try to be consistent for the last 16 or so episodes, 17 episodes now. I've been trying to be consistent and on point for you guys for the Wise Wealth show. And so you guys bring your questions. I'm here to help. This is going to be a short segment. We're going to try to keep things, that's right. Good call, Kyle. It is number 17 now. And apologies, guys, for some of the poison ivy. I got some poison ivy somehow. I don't know how. Poison oak, something like that before I left from the trip. And it's been the worst. Been dealing with that. But I will survive. Anyway, I think I probably came across it at one of my rental properties when I was cutting back some shrubs, but can't be sure. Or it was on some clothing from a long time ago. But anyway, so it's been very, very busy. We flew in. It's been a really awesome time. We flew into St. John's, took the real estate exam here. I've been touring the city, so seeing a lot of cool things in St. John's, experiencing the rock. Newfoundland is an island. The only way to get into Newfoundland, it's a province in Canada, the only way to get into Newfoundland is to actually fly or by ferry. So you cannot drive into the province. It has to be by boat or by air. So that's kind of a cool, interesting fact. And okay, so we're gonna talk today about student rentals. I had some people message me about student rentals, and I saw a recent video on Matt Keever's channel about student rentals, so I thought, hey, I'll probably talk about student rentals too. It's just timely, and I couldn't think of anything else to talk about. Unless you guys have questions, I thought, hey, why not? It's gonna be a short segment. Let's just talk about student rentals. And because I do a lot of student rentals in London, Ontario, and that's been a big component of my business. And so I want to explain, I guess, at a high level, sort of how I go about doing things, and sort of some of the ways I think that you can make a lot of money in student rentals in cities where there's a big population of students. So in London, I don't have exact statistics, but to give you an idea, in London, Ontario, we have, I think, the biggest university maybe in Canada, and we definitely have the biggest college in the province for sure. Fanshawe College is the biggest. We also have like Westervelt College. There's a few other small schools, like Trios maybe is in London. I might be wrong on that. But we are a big student town. I'd say 20% of our population is students. So in London, Ontario, it's very easy if you have a property really anywhere downtown, anywhere west. You can go east and hit Fanshawe. All these different areas in London, you can hit student rentals. And you can have properties that are, half student rental, half not. All of downtown is so easy to get students. All of West London, all the way down the corridor from Western Road, all the way down Richmond, North, Masonville, Northwest. All those areas are all prime student areas. So I would say about half of the properties in London can qualify as student rental properties. The properties that can't are like East London and South London. There's like not much student rental there. So I've always, actually a lot of my properties have been in the student areas, even if I didn't have students in the property. But the beautiful thing about students is that you can get higher than market rents. So you can get 500, 550, even 575, 600 a bedroom for, for instance, when you might get, say, 450 or 500 a bedroom in a 4 or 5 bedroom house. Especially if you have a lot of bedrooms, that's the key thing with student rentals. You have to add bedrooms. That's the most important differentiator. Hey, Ellie, how you doing? Welcome on. Andre, how you doing? If anyone has any questions, by the way, just shoot them out here. Talk about student rentals right now, live from Newfoundland, like I said. It's going to be a short segment because I haven't eaten yet since breakfast. And I just did the exam, a 3-hour exam. came back here, rushed just to do the live stream to be consistent. Even if there's like 8 of you guys on here that are watching, I'm trying to be consistent for the folks who appreciate that live stream, 7 p.m. Eastern, every single week. I know I'm a few minutes late. I couldn't really control traffic and get all the way back to the hotel, but I'm here. I'm here for you guys. So talking about how do you buy a student rental? What are some of the metrics that you would use? And I think I want to talk specifically in London about how you differentiate what's a good buy and a bad buy, because most of the student rentals in London, the ones that the core realtors are selling, are bad student rentals. You don't want those student rentals. People are paying 75, 80, 85,000. I even seen a $95,000 a bedroom price point. So people are paying ridiculous rates. Reason is University of Western Ontario attracts a lot of international students, a lot of people from Vancouver, Toronto, a lot of different markets. And when they come to London, they see a house for $600,000. They think that's a steal. They don't understand comparables. They're looking at cap rates that are from their market, like a 6 or 7 cap rate. By the way, I don't buy a student rental that doesn't have 11 or 12 cap rate. So it needs to have a significant, when we talk 1% rule, when you do deal with student rentals, you need to be doing 1.5%, because you need to be factoring in for extra damages, extra issues associated with dealing with those students. There's a lot of extra work, right? You've got to give them the white glove treatment. I like to give my students the white glove treatment. I will pick them up and drive them to my listings to get that premium dollar. I will throw a flat screen on the wall for $150 off Kijiji to give that extra pop. I will, I'll furnish rooms sometimes. There's things that you'll do for students that you won't normally do. For, I might buy a microwave. For a regular tenant, I wouldn't do that. But for a student, I'll do that. And it's because I can get $50 more a month in rent. Why wouldn't I spend $50 on a TV or $150 on a TV when I can get $50 more a bedroom for the 4 rooms, right? Just because they have that one small thing that's giving them that advantage, making them feel like they're being taken care of. And students like that higher quality service. And that's something that I've found. That's how you get the top dollars. Is my students love like my quartz counters, my nice, I'll make sure I have sometimes 2 fridges in a unit, spacious living rooms for them to relax in. Good sized bedrooms are really, really important. An adequate number of bathrooms. A lot of student rentals, I'll see them like 5 beds, 1 bath. You're not going to get good rents with that. Students are going to pay like $400, $425 a bedroom. But if you added 2 bathrooms to that scenario, you had three baths and 5 bedrooms, or 4 baths and 5 bedrooms, now students will pay $750 a bedroom. If I have a bedroom that has its exclusive ensuite bath, even if there's an entrance from the hallway and an entrance from the bedroom, my favorite, by the way, it's called the cheater entrance. I always like to put an extra door from the bedroom onto the washroom, even if it has a hallway door too, because then I can say, hey, it's got an ensuite. Ensuite washrooms in London, Ontario get $750 a bedroom. That's happening. That's real right now. People are doing that. There are a lot of people also in London who, there's such a range. I know people who rent student rentals for $400 a bedroom, and they aren't efficient, right? So efficiencies are really important, and knowing what the tenant is looking for, right? And so I like to target luxury. So I go a little bit higher, go a little bit nicer, get that premium dollar, especially with my Western rentals. With my Fanshawe rentals, not as much. Fanshawe College, they don't seem to care as much about those higher end finishes. The Western students seem to care more about that customer service, more about providing that extra. How you doing, Tyler Parks? Hi from Newfoundland. I'm normally from London, Ontario, Canada, but I'm in Newfoundland. I'm in St. John's, Newfoundland, Canada right now on the rocks. So, hey Tiger, how you doing? Yeah, everything went well. Just finished the 3-hour exam, and I'm here at the hotel. I'm here at the Fairfield Inn Marriott in. Hey Jonas, how you doing? Welcome on, guys. Apologies for being a little bit tardy, a little bit late. Had to get a ride all the way back from the university. There was a university here in St. John's where we took the exam. Had to get all the way back here. So I apologize for that. I'm also on I'm on hotel Wi-Fi. Now I upgraded the Wi-Fi, so it should be a little bit faster, but no promises. I don't know if it stayed upgraded or not. I probably have to go put in my upgrade password again. Didn't do that, forgot to do that before the stream. Michael Chung, how you doing? On the iPhone, no lapel mic, so just trying our best to get things, be loyal for you guys. Try to be every single week. A lot of it was federal level stuff, a lot of stuff about appraisal approaches. You want me to share some nuggets on that? I can share some nuggets from how the appraisal process works, the different valuation approaches, a lot of regulation stuff. But we're talking about student rentals, and with student rentals, I think a lot of people are generalizing. So they'll go at the Western Gate, Richmond Row in London. If you go in that area, you're going to pay $90,000 a bedroom, and you go just south of the university, and I'm paying $35,000. Yes, Tiger, I left some comments on that. By the way, John is insane. He's killing it. Nice, John. Welcome on. So yeah, I watched his video. Fantastic. The guy kills it. Honestly, it's insane. I do want to say So a lot of people have been messaging me now after watching those videos and saying, are London student rentals not good then? I hear they're $80,000 a bedroom here, and there it's like $30,000 a bedroom plus renovation. I'm like, I'm buying $30,000 plus renovation here in London too. So, and you can get, if you have a bedroom and a bathroom right beside each other, I can get $750 a bedroom here in London too. You can do that. Not at Fanshawe College, but you can do that at Western. And so it is possible to do that. You just have to target a certain market, like the international students that come in that have the money, who want their own washroom, will pay a significant premium for that, right? You have to buy, like I bought a triplex just now. It's going to be closing in October. Big shout out to one of my investors who's closing on that because they're getting a sweet deal. I like that property a lot. We're going to renovate it, make it really nice, but it's a 9-bedroom triplex with a 2.5-car garage, and they're not stacked. 3-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 3-bedroom. Bungalow style house, each one with its own basement. Picked that for $333,000 here in London. It's a 4-minute bus ride to Western, a 12-minute bike ride, and about a 17-minute walk onto campus. So really close to campus, fantastic area. It will rent for $4,800 a month, a $333,000 purchase price. Those numbers are better than what I'm seeing in Windsor. So I'm still getting deals here in London that are better than deals I'm seeing in Windsor. Everyone's all about Windsor. I don't personally like Windsor. I have friends who have lived in Windsor, and I know I have a little bit of family that lives in Windsor, and Windsor's a rough market. You can make a ton of cash there. Don't get me wrong. They haven't seen the same appreciation that we've seen in London. I don't think that it's as stable of a market as it is in London, but Windsor has some huge advantages. The city is not near as much of a stickler. They aren't near as hard on landlords in Windsor, from what I'm hearing, as they are in London. But there are ways to combat and get around that, right? As long as you're keeping everything on the up and up, you can get a rental license on a triplex, for instance, and throw students in there, and you'd be fine. Like, you can put 4 students in a 3-bedroom unit. You just sign 1 lease with them. You don't do by the bedroom rental. That's totally compliant, totally legal here in London. As long as you meet fire codes and property standards codes, you're okay. So that's something to kind of keep in mind when you're investing in London, Ontario. London, Ontario has seen a significant price increases, and there's significant volatility in the market. It's weird. I will pick up properties like this one, might end up going for, $450,000 to some international investor will come to London and buy. And that same property I could buy for $350,000. It's so strange where I'm seeing this volatility in the market, where I bought a property in East London for $125,000. I bet you if it was marketed properly, it would sell for like $160,000, $170,000. There's so much variation in what is selling in London here, if you know how to negotiate, and if you know how to put together a creative deal. That's the most important thing, is putting together that creative deal. Because the rents, I think, in London are higher than what they are in Windsor. And if you know how to buy well, you can get crazy cash flow in London still and have the better appreciation, the better market stability, I think, than Windsor. Windsor being so close to Detroit, Windsor having I don't know the economy that well, but being very tied to like automotive, whereas London has a lot of different diverse manufacturing, different diverse sectors like financial. It's a pretty big financial hub being so close to Toronto. A lot of tech, we have a lot of tech sectors, and we're a huge student economy, way bigger than, like, the student market here in London is way bigger than what it is in Windsor, like several factors bigger. There's probably, like, if I had to add up all the students between Fanshawe, Western, internationals, part-times, Westerville, all the different colleges in the surrounding area, we probably have like 90,000 students, 100,000 students. That's huge. Like, that's a good percentage of the Windsor population in total, just our students here in London. So London has a huge student market. There are a lot of investors that invest in student rentals that don't do it well. There's a lot of investors that don't do it well, and that sounds bad, but it's true. Here in London, I see a lot of people buying by the gates at Richmond, like at Richmond and the Western Gates right there. All the way, you come down from Richmond and Oxford, you go all the way towards Masonville, and there are houses in there that are selling at like a 5 cap rate. Same in Northwest London, we're seeing properties sell at a 4 and 5 cap rate, and then in the same, like a kilometer away, in the same subdivisions, I'm seeing properties sell at 12 cap rates. What is going on when properties are selling at 4 cap rate and 12 cap rate a kilometer from each other? I don't even understand what's going on in London. The market is just, it's been very hot. It's cooling down now, but it's very interesting that I'll have an investor come in, someone from Toronto messaged me and said, hey, I went to London, took a look at some properties here. London's not viable. Well, is that totally true? Like, how am I, like, they'll have these absolute truths they think are like, London is $75,000 a bedroom for student rentals. That, or $100,000 a bedroom. Someone's telling me $100,000 a bedroom. I got an actual Instagram message saying $100,000 a bedroom was the going rate in London. What do you think of, they were picking some other markets and saying, what do you think about London being 100,000? I said, whoa. Where did you get London being 100,000? Did you pick like 4 listings in the worst area that shouldn't even sell? Like, these properties shouldn't sell. Whoever's going to buy these properties is going to buy them not for cash flow. They're going to buy them for some emotional reason. They're a big heritage building. They like the property. Their son or daughter is going to be going to Western University. Whatever reason, they don't know the market. those people who buy those properties aren't buying for cash flow. Or if they're buying for cash flow, they're not buying to have good cash flow. They're buying for bad cash flow. So you can do student rentals, I think, and optimize for cash flow. And so that's something I want to talk to you about, because I've done a lot of student rental deals, probably like a dozen or so. And the key thing being, the cash flow is higher than regular residential, but you have additional headaches. So tenants are more needy, they'll have more questions. When you have that many people living in a property, you have 6 or 7 people, it's a lot more to manage than 6 or 7 rents. Sometimes they'll send you their rents in portions, which is the worst. I always get one lease, force my tenants to send me one rent. So key. See some questions coming up, and I want to make the stream quick, so I'm gonna start banging them off real quick. Types of questions on the realtor exam. I talked about that a little bit, but yeah, I was talking about, like, basically it was everything. The whole course. There's 2 big books, 3 big books. Sorry, this is book 2, so you can see as an example. It's like massive, lot to read, and then I have to challenge the Ontario exams when I get back. So that'll be something I'll be doing. But a guy like me, I've been doing real estate for a long time, so I honestly don't even really need to read the books to get a passing grade. Like, come on, calculating like square footage, knowing like a stud, a lentil, like how a house is built. I didn't even need to read that chapter. I've just been living and breathing it so long that I know what I'm doing. So I didn't find the content that difficult, especially knowing like ways to appraise a property. Of course I know how to use the direct comparable approach. Of course I know how to use the income approach for commercial and residential. Of course I know how to use like the cost-based approach. I've been living and breathing this for so long that when I read that chapter, it might be new for someone who's brand new to the course, but to me, it's something I've been doing for so long, living and breathing it, that I can relate back to real practical life examples that I've lived. So the exam went really well. I don't think I'll have failed unless by some reason I screwed something up, but I doubt that. Can't say for sure, but doubt that. Michael, how you doing? Do you prefer to invest in properties that are under 30 years old to avoid Capex? So Capex being capital expenditure. My apologies here. We'll adjust the phone. So capital expenditure, Capex, right? There are 2 types of, when you put money into a house to repair it or to do some renovations, there are capital expenditures and there are operating expenditures. Operating expenditures are Opex, capital expenditures are Capex. A Capex item would be something that increases the value of the property and has a long useful life, whereas an Opex expense would be something that's very short-term, that doesn't really add value to the property. So it's a maintenance item, or if you're replacing floors with the identical floor just because it got destroyed by a tenant, that would be an operating expenditure item. You can write that directly off your income. A capital expenditure item, you have to take that item and then use amortization. You have to do CCA calculation, capital cost, and you basically, there's a certain class for that asset, and you basically depreciate that if you want to, and then you have to recapture it when you sell. So you don't really want to have a lot of Capex, you want to have a lot of Opex. And if you're replacing a toilet with another toilet, it's the exact same. You want to have that in an Opex category. But you have to make those calls with your accountant, and I'm not a licensed CPA, so I'm not going to talk on that too much. But talking about Capex versus Opex, and the question was, do I buy properties that are 30 years or newer to avoid certain things like that? So what I found is that on the new build houses today, roofs tend to go in 15 years. A lot of the floors and things like that have useful life, so between 15 and 20 years. So 15 and 20 years is really like the sweet spot. Really old houses, what I found is a lot of them have been fixed up with newer materials, like the plumbing's been replaced already, stuff like that. So you can buy old properties that have been fixed up and are actually in better condition than a 20-year-old house that's had no maintenance done. They've just deferred the maintenance for 20 years. So it varies. Most of my properties are not newer. I used to own 2 triplexes. They were 11 bedrooms each, 22 bedrooms. They were built in the mid-90s, and so they were relatively new. And yet stuff was still starting to go on those properties, and everything was relatively new. The wiring was even new when it was built. It was all copper and breaker. It wasn't fuse panel or aluminum or anything like that. So it had good bones. And even still, I had maintenance issues because the tenants there would destroy the cosmetics of the property and damage things like windows. So it's difficult to just say like I buy all types of properties. I don't discriminate between. So I saw a message retracted there. I don't discriminate between old or new properties. So that's something that's kind of, yeah, I mean, every investor's different, but honestly, just build in how much you need to spend to fix the property up. That's the key thing. Give me 1 second. I just need to let Elise into the hotel room here. Come on in.
Sorry, guys.
That's no problem. So you want to see my washroom? We're in the king. I got to upgrade to a king suite because I'm a Gold Elite member. So I give you guys a little tour. There's the washroom. There's the vanity floating. There's a beautiful huge shower. Nice rain head. Got the room over here. Bum-ba-dum, bum-ba-dum. There's the king bed, king bedroom, and we have another living room over here too. Free upgrade. I used points. This whole hotel stay cost me $0. Nothing, not even the tax. My points from before, from when I used to work in consulting, I had a whole bunch of points saved up, and they gave me a deal on this room. So decent view of St. John. You guys want to see St. John's in Newfoundland? While we're out, might as well. You can't really see much there. I don't know if you guys can really see much, but decent view. We're up pretty high, actually. There you have it. Back to what we were talking about. Answer some of these questions, because I want to go down to the pool, hit the water slide before we have to leave at 4 in the morning for our flight. So I have to try to just survive on little sleep. So yeah, I guess to answer your question, Michael, it really depends on the property, on the cash flow, on the numbers. Just factor in if the property's older and it needs repair, factor that into your numbers. Say, hey, I'm going to pay $300,000 for this older property, but I'm going to allocate $10,000 to put a new roof and to update the electrical fixtures and maybe to put new floors in or something, right? So just budget and allocate for those things that you want to change. Okay, my friend does fiber optic work in Windsor. He told me everyone has 2 to 3 cars. Interesting. Didn't know that. In London, we have a decent transportation system, but it's not the best. People have cars in London too. I guess the big thing would be parking, interestingly. With students, you don't need as much parking as you do with other types of properties, but the students will pay premium if they have nice parking available to them. Do you try to maximize the number of beds and baths and analyze the property for cash flow? Will you see diminishing returns after adding a certain number of beds and baths? Will you wait to do that with me? Because I'm gonna go in the pool too. That's okay. I'll make it. Sorry, I'm gonna go down to the pool. She just went down to the pool. So I have to wrap this up quick, guys. Okay. Yes. So I always look for the best use in a property, and that is almost always adding bedrooms and bathrooms. Bedrooms and bathrooms are the most rent. If you have a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house and you convert it to a 4-bed, 3-bath house, which is what I always do, using the exact same square footage, your price per square foot for rent almost doubles. A 4-bed, 3-bath rents for way more than a 2-bed, 1-bath. Like we're talking double. I get more than double the rent. So very important to add bathrooms. Bathrooms with student rentals, I usually get 400% ROI on every dollar I spend on a bathroom. So a bathroom costs me $5,000 to add, let's say, where one didn't exist before. And usually my rents will go up, not by the $50 you'd expect, but you'll get like 3, 4, 5, 600 a month in extra rent just by adding certain bathrooms. So that can add a ton of value. Be very strategic in what you renovate and how you spend the money. Very, very important. I think overall, exactly when you're looking at a property, you want to see what makes sense. So in, for instance, a family area, after 4 bedrooms, you get no more rent. It adds 0 value to have more bedrooms after 4. But in, say you're at 2 bedrooms, to get from 2 to 4, that's a huge jump in family area. In student area, bedrooms, you just keep adding more bedrooms, you get more cash flow. So it's just about maximizing bedrooms. We'll turn garages into bedrooms. We'll maximize the bedrooms in the basement. We'll sever big rooms that are living rooms. We'll make a smaller living room, open concept it, and put another bedroom in on the main floor. Very common thing I do in most of my properties when I walk in. I'm looking for how can I get the most cash flow out of this property while still ensuring I get good comps, so good refis, because it's all about being able to pull out the capital, right? Very, very important. Can you explain why refi is so hard with student rentals? Okay, so most banks, not all, most, won't do student rentals, or they won't do student rentals at 20% down payment. They want 25 or 30% down. Most, not all. There are exceptions. I've bought a bunch with 20% down. You can do it. You can also refinance them. It just is more tricky, more difficult. Okay, so the bank sees a student rental as extremely risky because students tend to party and destroy houses. And so they've had a few bad experiences that left them a bad taste in their mouth. Now, in my opinion, the family rentals, the crappy, smaller, oh shoot, my phone's good, hang on. Been out all day, forgot to charge my phone. Sorry for this sort of wild episode of Wise Wealth. Is it on? Is it charging? Didn't vibrate. I don't know. Is it still going? Oh, Mike. Mike, you're a fool with media just with your phone. What are you doing? Nope, that didn't work. That was an epic fail. I'm just going to hold it. There. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. We're just gonna hold. Forget what I was talking about now. Lost my train of thought. This is gonna be the wildest Wednesday we've ever had. Okay. What if this wasn't a student rental? What would be the value be on this property if it was converted back to be a family residence? So that factors into the value on the property. Here in London, Ontario, if it's like a duplex, for instance, the value tends to be about the same between a student rental and a family rental, like in a duplex or triplex scenario, because the rents aren't that much different. And there's so many students in town that people expect the rent to be about the same. Like if there's a 2-bedroom student rental, like a 2-bedroom unit, it'll rent to students for maybe $1,200 on the high end, $1,300 on the high end. 2-bedroomers renting to a family now for $1,200. So there's not that much arbitrage between student and family, but there's a little bit, especially in the really high end market. You get a bit of that. In the 4 or 5, in the single family houses, there's a ton of arbitrage. Single family rentals versus student rentals, huge difference. When you go to duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, there's less and less of that difference when you're focusing on student rentals versus family rentals. So if you want to BRRRR it, you buy a duplex. It's a student rental. That's the key. And I'll make, you guys know that there's legislation from Ottawa. Maybe you don't know. You can create a secondary dwelling unit, less than 40% of the square footage, and the city can't stop you. So I'm adding like nanny suites in all of my units because what a student is going to pay way more with a bedroom that's got its own kitchen and bathroom. So I add a little bit more money for the plumbing to run a bathroom, but adding the extra, like I duplex almost all of my properties that were single family because you just get way more rent duplexing in London, and it increases the value a ton. Like a duplex in London or a secondary dwelling unit in London, you spend $30,000, you get $60,000 in appraisal value. So that's a really good use of capital, and it cash flows way better as a duplex versus single family in most cases. So that's been something that I've been taking advantage of. But back to like the reason why they don't, I don't know, banks just find it more risky. They don't want to take that risk, and they require more down to protect their downside. The reason it's hard to refinance them, I haven't found it to be that hard to refinance them actually. I've BRRRR'd student rentals a ton. You just got to buy smart and arbitrage. So if I'm buying a property that's market value is 250 and I'm spending 50,000, it's worth 300 now. The comps are, if they're at like 300 as well, then I have not added any value, so I can't BRRRR. But if the comps are at 400, right? When I bought this property for 250 and I spend 20 or 30, the market thinks I spent 60 because I did it for half price. You got to do the renovation for less than what the market value is the renovation at. So if a bathroom adds 10,000 in value, you want to do it for 4,500. So then you can have the margin to BRRRR. And that's what it's all about, is adding value through arbitrage. And so my strategy has always been around arbitrage where possible. You want to basically buy really smart, renovate very cheaply and strategically, and then use really good marketing and good tenant placement. Then bring all that to an appraiser. And the appraiser will use 3 methods, right? They use the cost approach. They'll never use that on a student rental. They'll use the income-based approach. They might use that on a student rental, but in residential, they use market rents. So what the appraiser thinks the market rent is. So you need an appraiser that understands what market rent is. So I'll bring leases to my appraisal. I'll show them what I'm getting in rents. Oftentimes I have them all sign on one lease. I'll show them, it's like, here's what I'm getting for rent. And they'll say market rent is X. And so if market rent is a lot lower, then that could negatively affect your appraisal. So that's why people say student rentals are hard to refinance. They also can be high if you don't buy smart. So you buy properties that are at market value, convert them to student rentals, and add value where I had one property where I did this and I couldn't BRRRR it. And it was because I had bought a residential property that was comping as residential, and I was just doing it as a student rental, but it still comped based on all the residential properties in the area. So if I just bought it smarter and renovated smarter, then I would have added value, and so I would have been able to BRRRR it. But the only way you can BRRRR really is by buying undervalued assets and then creating value. So, and have the appraiser agree that you've created value. And so sometimes they don't think there's value creation in turning a 3-bed into a 6-bed. They sometimes don't agree that that's created value. They usually will almost always agree if you add square footage or create more living square footage, or for instance, bathrooms or parking, stuff like that can add value for a student and to the appraiser. So what it comes down to with a BRRRR is finding out what the appraiser is looking for and satisfying what the appraiser is looking for. Jeez, did I break my phone? I did. My phone's broken. Nice. I cracked my pixels on my screen. I should have left this in the case. I just broke my phone. What? This has been an expensive Wise Wealth Wednesday. My pixels all destroyed on my screen from that last time it fell. This is why I should have brought a stand with me. Very upset with that. I'm going to end this live stream pretty soon. Okay. What is the farthest walking distance students are willing to go and how does that impact the rent? So if you're too close to campus in the party areas, you get the partying students. I don't want those students. I want students that are like international, studious, engineering, medical school, dental school, Ivy. I want all those premium students from Western. In the college, you have a little bit harder time getting the premium students, but certain programs lend themselves better to good students. So if you're in the party area, there's certain zones, like in the Fanshawe College, Fleming area, Western, around the Richmond Gates area, there are party areas. I don't want to own properties there. I personally just don't. It just doesn't make sense for me. I can't believe I broke my phone. I'm so upset by this. Hey Mike, sorry I'm late. Babysitting. No problem, Jason. What is the yearly price for keeping your real estate license? A couple thousand a year. I think it's like 3,000-4,000 a year. So if you're doing like 5 deals a year, it would make sense. Less than that, it wouldn't really make sense to have your own license. If you get too far away, so if you're not, like the bus turns in London here, the bus turns down on the bridge on Queens and it comes down and turns in Riverside. And I'd say south of Riverside, it's almost impossible. So there's certain cutoffs, like Old South, all that, it's tough to get students. But there are areas where you can get students and where it makes a lot of sense. It has to be close enough that they can catch a bus and be to school in like 10 minutes. So that's an important part, is where are the buses? So that's an important piece of it. Okay, next question. What is the yearly price? I read that question. Retracted. Is there a certain time of year you look to buy student rentals that is assumed vacant? I will sometimes assume them not vacant. I'll buy properties and just add bedrooms and bathrooms, but I'll wait for the students to leave. The other thing that I'll do that can be, okay, so landlord is on the student cycle. Has to place the students on September 1st or May 1st, maybe January. But usually they go to sale May 1st, like April 30th, May 1st, the 1-year leases, and the 8-month leases September. Sometimes you can get 12-month leases in September. But the key thing being that those are the 2 cycles. So when a landlord misses the boat, because whatever reason they didn't advertise properly, they weren't finished the renovations, whatever reason, and they're vacant, they missed the student window. It happens a lot. I see it all the time, they miss the window. They are on the ball, they're hustling. And when you miss the window, you're waiting until summer, you probably go lie, they're getting fatigued, they're getting tired, people are gone on summer vacation, that's a good time to buy a student rental. Especially when it's vacant, they've been hungry for cash for a long time now, right? Because they've been vacant. So there's a lot of vacant properties that's a good time to buy them. And the good time is almost now, like November, December is the best time to buy a student rental, because all the people who missed the boat in September are really having a tough time. They've been vacant. They know they're going to be vacant now till April. Good luck getting a student now in October, November. So if you can buy a property that needs renovation and then get on the cycle, the proper cycle, rent it out in February for April 30th, that's money. So I've got a lot of good deals doing it that way. And then people who miss I like to buy student rentals in January, February as well, before the big rush happens, and then I can put tenants in for April, right? So that's another good time to buy them. What are you guys hearing? Yeah, I think my phone just got broke. My new iPhone 7 that I bought is, when it dropped, I think it actually broke. So my screen's all pixelated on the top half. So that kind of sucks. That's why I should have brought a case with me, because I'd take it out of the case so you guys could hear me, because I didn't bring my lapel mic. When getting money for a down payment, should I pay extra income into my mortgage to increase the equity in the house, or put into a high interest savings account? It's up to you. In some ways, I think it can make sense. I don't like to pay down my mortgage. One, it's a write-off, so it doesn't really, like, you're losing that interest write-off. 2, your rate of return is like 2 to 3%. Getting a 2 to 3% rate of return. I think you could do a lot. Oh, there we go. This internet here in this hotel is not ideal. I should not have done this. I broke my phone, and now I have pissed myself off. I'm gonna get through these questions, and I'm gonna go in the pool, because the pool closes in a few minutes, and I want to hit that water slide. So I'm gonna wrap this up quick. Hopefully you guys got a lot of value out of this, because seriously, broke my phone. Screen's all screwed up because it fell. When getting money for a down payment, should I put my extra income? Okay, we were talking about that one. Yeah. Honestly, putting on your mortgage, you have to refi it out. So unless you're putting on your home equity line of credit, then that would make sense. That would be a smart use. To calculate your cash flow, do you NOI mortgage times 12 months? I don't know what you're saying. NOI minus mortgage. So Yeah, basically. Yeah, effectively that would be basically your cash flow. Your NOI, depending how you calculate your NOI, yes. You could take your mortgage principal payment as part of your mortgage pay down and call that profit. So your profit is plus the mortgage pay down as well. But yeah, your cash flow would be net of the full mortgage payment. Banks thinking student rentals are risky. Yeah, we talked about that. You were talking about refi on student rentals. Do I tell the broker? Sorry, yeah, so I answered that question. Do I tell the broker if a property has students in there if I want the market value appraisal? It's not clear that they're students. I will not omit it, but since I don't have locks in the bedroom doors, for instance, or stuff like that, I can get away with the appraiser not asking. And if they don't ask, I'm not going to be forthcoming with that information. So if you wanted to maximize a good appraisal, you might, unless it's clear, like you have 6 students in a place, it's clear. But in like a 2 or 3 bedroom unit, it might not be clear that there's students there. It could just be young professionals. It's hard to tell if they're a 23-year-old student or a 23-year-old working young professional. Especially some of the students that I choose, they're very clean, so it'd be difficult to tell whether they're students or not. This isn't really a student rental, but you mentioned that in London you can add a secondary suite to single-family homes zoned residential. John Evans, that's true. Yeah, you can. Up to, as long as it's less than 40% of the square footage of the property. The City of London can't stop you. You have to comply with current building codes. Go take a read on the websites for London, but yeah, you can definitely do that. Hey Mike, as long as it like ceiling height, all those kinds of stuff, egress windows. Simone says, hey Mike, it's Devin. Hope you had a great day. Thanks, appreciate that. Hope that's the Wi-Fi, not the mic. Yeah. Sound and picture is fine with them. You know you're financially sufficient when you don't have a case on your phone. I actually do have a case for my phone, but it was dulling the sound, so I took the case off for you guys. So my phone has no case right now only because of live stream. Normally I have a case on my phone, so it's only because I'm doing the live stream that dropping my phone has caused an issue. Too many viewers, hotel Wi-Fi can't supply enough bandwidth for Wednesday. Frozen for anyone else too. Well, if that's the case and no one can hear me, I'm gonna go in the pool and I'm gonna have some fun. So it was good to touch base with you guys. I will see you next Wednesday, live 7 p.m. As always, spend less, earn more, and maximize your returns to unlock wealth through you. Cheers, guys.